Hello, speaking. I don't know my earpod. Let me put it in.
For a second, but it's all right. Gideon, I can hear you. That's great.
I'm in the waiting room now.
Hello?
Are there lots of people in the waiting room?
No, you and Ellie Mayer. Shall I let you in? Gideon, shall I let you in? He can't hear me. Hello, Gideon, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Gideon, can you hear me? I know, he didn't respond.
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I can.
There we go.
Shall I let you in the room?
You can. I'm only joining just to see how many people are there. But I guess if you haven't let anyone in, then...
There's two Gideons now in here. Who's the other Gideon?
It could be Gideon Denton.
Well, he hasn't got any camera or anything, and no sound either. I don't know who's who. They're both called Gideon.
So let me leave, and then you'll see who's who.
I'll put you all both in the waiting room.
So I'm going to leave.
No, you don't need to wait. There you go.
I've left. Anyway, whatever. I was just
okay, no problem.
Having a look. He could probably hear that conversation, right?
If it was him, if it's not just you who came in before and now you've come back again, might be that as well.
Should be okay. Okay, I just need to check I'm connected to my hotspot here so that I can get Laurie's messages.
Okay.
The only problem...
Moran, I wonder if it's worth just focusing a bit more in on the wide shot on the two of them so that we get rid of the plug in the wall on the left-hand side.
Good idea.
You mean zoom in?
Yeah. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, no, I understand. Oh, you can see the side of the thing there, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, when it's zoomed out, you can see the side of the camera.
Very blurred. Gideon is very blurred with wide shot like that. That's better.
What am I doing?
It's all it's working. Trigger your muscle earpod.
Right, I'm actually on. On icon working?
Yeah, can you hear guys?
Yeah, I can hear them moving.
Hi. Seven, yeah. We've got no sound yet, but yeah. Okay, fine. Let me just get the mic.
Welcome back to Encounter episode 4. We really missed you guys, but don't worry, we're back, we're better than ever, and we have an incredible show for you with so many competitions and so many prizes, and of course our mystery prize to be announced at the end of tonight's show. And remember, for all of you watching your receipt, going to be receiving a £5 delivery voucher, but you can save that up. If you want to get sent £15 at the end of the next 3 episodes, that's also an option, so you can get a big, fat, kosher takeaway to treat to yourself and enjoy it for the last episode.
It's great to see everyone back again, and to launch tonight's episode, we are actually going to begin with something very exciting. You may have seen this, but next week on Thursday evening, we are hosting a very exciting event. Now, you may have been questioning or wondering, and some people even worrying, how can you make sure that following graduation, when you finish university, you can be sure that you're going to get the job of your dreams, that you're doing everything that you can at this point, at this stage, to ensure that you're setting yourself up for success. And we at Asian Campus, of course, are very conscious that we want to be there for you guys and help you. So we are partnering with an organization, a company called Finito. Finito are national experts in employment, employability. They take clients, they take students and graduates from graduating university all day to securing themselves a guaranteed fantastic job of their dreams. We're just getting some feedback over there, but we're dealing with that. So next Thursday night, join us to find out more about that, how you can get involved, and of course, how you can possibly be an ambassador for Finito and actually earn some money on campus at this point in this stage in your university careers. So that's next Thursday night. Check out the website for more details.
Yes, it's a fantastic opportunity to get the job of your dreams and be successful. But let's kick tonight's show off with a little game. So we're going to show some puzzle pieces on the screen. You have to use your brains to put together the puzzle pieces and message Encounter admin directly what you think it is, and you could win a £10 Amazon gift voucher. So let's get the puzzle pieces on the screen. Ready? Right, let's have a go. As you guys are guessing, we're going to slowly piecing together the puzzle for you. So have a think about what this could be. What could this image be?
We have a world expert puzzle doer who is doing the puzzle as we speak behind the scenes. He's won many puzzle competitions. You see his strategy, he's going for like the good size pieces first. Even if you're not 100% sure yet, just throw in those guesses. We will only accept a full correct answer. So we're looking for the full correct answer, if you think you know what this image is, then key code to Encounter admin. And if you are the first person to get the correct answer, you will be the winner of tonight's first prize on Encounter, a £10 Amazon voucher.
That looks a bit like a plate at the bottom, I would say. Plate.
Now, 1 second, hold the music, hold the music, hold the music. We have just received word from our team that somebody has indeed guessed the correct answer already. Now, if you're still wondering what on earth this picture is, we'll be announcing later in the show who the winner is, but just for those wondering what the picture is, let's do a full reveal to find out what is indeed the puzzle picture for those who haven't worked out yet.
Now, the puzzle was a yummy roast chicken and roast potatoes. We all love a good Friday night dinner, and we love a good roast chicken and roast potatoes. So congratulations to whoever got that correct first.
Well done to everyone for all their guesses. There were lots of wrong guesses, by the way, so not so well done for them. But of course, we'll be coming back to that a bit later in the show. But I want to shift gears a little bit now and focus on tonight's main topic as we continue our journey through the Abraham Accords series, where we look at Jewish values that have changed the face of the world that we live in over the past few thousand years. And tonight we're addressing the topic, the Jewish value of peace as an end goal. And to address this topic with us on Encounter this evening, it is our pleasure to welcome back Rabbi Ari Kaiser.
The word peace in Hebrew is shalom. Shalom comes from the word shalem, which means a whole. And peace in Judaism is when you take many different disparate parts and you unify them into a whole. The word for argument or disagreement is machloket. And the root of the word machloket is chelek, which means a part or a portion. And the idea here is that when we want to achieve or attain a state of peace, we take all the various parts and we fit them in the jigsaw of life together, and we get to a state of peace, of unity. And that's a really important idea in Judaism, because many different people through many different walks of life bring their own uniqueness into the discussion of truth and of peace. And we have to try and find a way to slot them into each other. If you've ever studied the Talmud, the Jewish oral tradition, you'll know that every page of the Talmud is filled with different arguments and disagreements and this person's opinion and that person's opinion. And the whole idea is that we attain a peace, a sense of the holistic truth through a dialogue. It's a conversation. Peace is something that we get to through an evolution of ideas, through an exchanging of ideas. And after those exchanges have taken place, we reach a higher level of understanding. This dialogue is something that is seen from the very earliest parts of Jewish history. If you think back to Abraham, the first of our forefathers, he has this dialogue with God. God reveals to Abraham that he's going to destroy the city of Sodom. And Abraham comes out with this incredible question. He turns to God and he says, will the judge of all the earth not uphold justice? Right? Talk about Jewish chutzpah, right? He argues with God, but our sages teach us that that argument was actually the right thing to do, because from Abraham's perspective, he was not meant to accept that there was a potential injustice that was going to happen. And he has a dialogue with God. And as the first Jewish person that ever lived, Abraham is held up as a model to us, that we should be entering into a dialogue with God, entering into a dialogue to cast away any injustices. Our forefather Jacob, right, the grandson of Abraham, wrestles with the angel, right? And at the end, when the angel asks to leave, he gives him a blessing. He gives Jacob, a blessing, and he says, no longer will your name be called Jacob, it will be called Israel. And Israel, which is the name that we still use to this day, means to struggle with man and with God, but to become triumphant, to come out triumphant. It is a struggle. Peace is not something that happens automatically. It's not the default position that all nations of the world and all people and all relationships are at. It takes time and effort, and there's a struggle to achieve a sense of peace. And I see that as a microcosm for all of humanity, for all of the world at large, right? The Jewish people, after Jacob, he has 12 sons, which then become the 12 tribes of Israel. And when they settle the land of Israel, they're all vying for their own part of the land. They're all vying for power. And there's this immense sibling rivalry that takes place to the point of a civil war. And the kingdom of Israel splits into two different nations in the Holy Land. And our ability to rectify those divisions within our own people is a microcosm for being able to rectify all of the divisions of humankind. And how do we rectify those divisions? I think it's about seeing ourselves as being part of a family. The Jewish people are a family of tribes, and all of humanity are a family of nations. And if we can put our emphasis on that which unites us as opposed to that which makes us different, then that gives us the ability to piece all the different pieces together and achieve peace. Shalom, peace, also permeates all of our relationships. When two people are in a healthy relationship, each one understands their role and function within that relationship. And what happens when one steps over the line, when one crosses a boundary within that relationship? That's called war. The same is true on the battlefield. Peace happens when you have two nations who understand what their boundaries are. As soon as one of those boundaries is breached, is crossed, that's when you have a state of war. And the same is true for all of our relationships, understanding that I have my own space, they have their own space, and there's a space that we collectively inhabit together. That's when you have harmony, that's when you have peace, and that's when you have shalom. Because shalom isn't just peace, it means unity, it means assembling all the various parts together to make them function in a harmonious way. And perhaps the most important part of peace is what we call inner peace. There are so many different parts within each and every one of us, pulling us in every different direction. But the real sense of peace, the real sense of contentment comes from our ability to align all those various parts within ourselves to function harmoniously, to function unanimously together, all operating in a harmonious way. And in many ways, that inner peace is really the first step, because when you can change yourself, change will happen all around you. There's a beautiful quote from Mahatma Gandhi, which says, "The day the power of love overrules the love of power, the world will know peace." And I love that quote because it cuts right into the core of what the biggest obstacle to achieving peace is, which he calls power. But if you double click on power just for a moment, what causes power? Power comes, or the sense of wanting power comes from having a sense of self, having an ego. And ego is the biggest obstacle to peace because ego puts me at the foreground. And peace, Jewish peace, shalom, from the word shalem, to be whole, understands that you are not the only piece in the puzzle. And for that, you need a humility to recognize that there are other pieces to this beautiful tapestry, which we call life.
So thank you to Rabbi Ari for sharing some insight into this incredible topic of peace, this Jewish value. We're going to bring him into the studio to continue this discussion. But remember, guys, we want to hear from you. We want audience questions and participation. So please send those questions through to the Encounter admin so we can address them with Ari. But I'd like to welcome Ari into the studio to have this conversation further.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, you are in fact our first guest to come back twice. So we welcome you to series 1 and now to series 2. So I'm going to kick off the discussion with the first question for you. So obviously we've talked about the fact that, our whole Abraham Accord series has taken on these core Jewish values and that they are meant to drive us and drive the way we live our lives and the way we believe. And this topic of peace, we talk about how it's a core Jewish value, and yet if we look in the past, from extremely historic times and biblical times to more modern times, we don't really display it as an example. Like, as we've been involved, sadly, in a lot of wars and a lot of violence and a lot of mishaps in recent years and in the past. So I want to ask you, do you actually think this is a Jewish value? Is this a thing? Are we a bad example of the fact that this core value of peace is within us?
Danielle, that's a really good question. And the truth is that you're right. You know, in biblical times, there was wars that happened when the Jewish people left Egypt and went through the desert, came into the land of Israel. They fought with the 7 indigenous nations in the land of Israel. And the Jewish people have been involved in conflicts throughout their history, mostly in the exile through persecution of other nations. But even if you kind of fast forward to modern times, the modern state of Israel has been in a constant state of war since its inception 73 years ago. So it's a very, very strong question. I think also that Jerusalem is the city that has been conquered more times than any other city in the world. And you see that surrounding the Jewish people and surrounding the land of Israel in particular, it's like a focal point of conflict. I would say that it's important to make a distinction between the Jewish values and what it says in the Torah about peace and about what happens, because I think that part of the reason that there is so much conflict around the land of Israel and the Jewish people is because what's happening is there's an important spiritual conversation that's happening. There's an important moral question and conflict that's being asked between, clash of ideologies, clash of philosophy. And I think what it does is that it shows the importance of what is at stake. But in terms of, the Jewish people seeing peace as an ideal, I really do believe that. I think that the Torah was a response almost to the hierarchy of the empire. You had the empire of Egypt, which was the superpower at the time, of the Jewish people's, birth. And after that comes the giving of the Torah, which was a rebellion against authority. The Torah did something so unique in that it didn't keep the power just in the few, which was what the empires of antiquity did. They gave a book and they taught people how to read, right? So what they did is that they democratized knowledge and allowed people to see what was true and what was not. And they gave the people the power to decide on the values. And one of the values that is spoken about in the Torah is this idea of peace. And I think I mentioned in the clip before that peace, the way that we understand it from our Western perspective, I think it's quite different to the Jewish understanding of the word shalom, which comes from the word shalem. And this idea of peace being unity is a very different idea to just the generic term that we usually throw around as peace being not conflict. Not conflict is not something particularly special. I mean, we hope that there isn't conflict in the world, but what we want is a unification between different minds, different nations, different ideologies, to be able to work together and cooperate in a way that is going to be beneficial for everyone.
That's really interesting. I wasn't going to make this point, but now that you've said that, I think it's worth pointing out. In some ways, this particular value, out of all of the values that we've addressed on the Abraham Accords, is the biggest paradigm shift, a radical, different perspective to I guess the world outside of the Jewish world. So just let me just explain what I mean by that. Is that I guess 3,500 years ago, before the Jews came along, war was either kind of feared or it was kind of presented as something to be glorified, to represent, the expansion of an empire, something, that was associated with positive power. I come along the Jewish people, a small, nomadic group, and they say, actually, war has a place. There is a place for fighting, standing up for what's right, but not the place that you think. And it really shifts perspective. And as you said, we didn't get it right every time. But I want to, maybe this is directly related to the Abraham Accords. What's going on at the moment now in the Middle East? Now, and I know this we could spend a whole series talking about, but we see, what we see is almost like peace at all costs. Let's make peace with some nations that previously we have not got on very well with. We don't have a good track record in our relationship with them. They haven't treated us well. They've invaded us and, you know, been responsible for a lot of bloodshed in the past. And at the same time, I'm not sure that we would necessarily buy into the way that they treat their civilians and etc. So without kind of getting sucked into a big, much broader question, how does that fit in with the concept of the Jewish people representing this idea of peace, of kind of creating this perfection and unity?
So again, another really good question. I mean, I would just preface that I'm not a political analyst, but from what I can understand of the Accords and the ramifications that it has, you know, on the geopolitics and, you know, on a religious level as well, I'd probably make the following comment or observation, is that I think that there's a distinction between peace and cooperation. And I think that what we're seeing here is on a level of cooperation. We call it peace, and there's a good reason, I think, to call it peace. But essentially, it does seem that there is a cooperation because there's a recognition of two factors. One is that there's economic gains to be made on both sides. And two is that it could be that there's a stronger foe or enemy elsewhere in the region, which is causing a unity amongst, you know, Israel and its new found partners. I would say, though, that in terms of what the Jewish definition of peace is, you know, peace, it's funny because there's a homophone in English, peace and peace, right? And I think that they go together with this definition because in Judaism, shalom means putting all the pieces together. That's how you get peace. You put all the pieces together. Having all the pieces of a jigsaw puzzle together, like you just had the jigsaw puzzle on just now, means that everybody is happy and content and fulfilled with their piece of the puzzle. And what that means in a geopolitical sense is that people are happy with who they are, what they have, and they love everybody else, right? So I don't think that that's quite yet what's happening, but I think that you're right. There's a whole nother question about, you know, whether Israel wants to be involved with countries who are, you know, traditionally have been quite big abusers in human rights and what that means and the moral implications of that. But I'm not sure that I'm qualified to comment on that, but those are my initial thoughts.
We actually have a question from the audience here. So now I think this might take us a bit off topic, but I'm conscious that we do want to involve and have the opportunity to discuss some questions. So I think this is a very loaded question. I'm going to raise it here. I'm not sure the connection to our topic, but I'd love to ask you whilst we've got you in the studio. They've asked, if peace is the end goal, which is the topic of tonight, then why do those in the ultra-Orthodox community have such a hierarchy and look down on people different to them? Surely this is creating the opposite effect of peace.
So it is an important question. I'm not sure that I have a full answer to the question. But again, I'll share my thoughts, and I'm happy for a follow-up question or other comments. Firstly, I would just say that the ultra-Orthodox community, especially in Israel, is probably a lot more diverse than people realize. Generally speaking, especially in the media, when ultra-Orthodox are put into one category, sometimes that can be a bit disingenuous because there are so many different types of people who would be considered ultra-Orthodox, and many of them have very, very different views, not just in religion, but in politics, in society, in culture, and in their willingness to engage with others. I would just say, though, that as a Jewish value, the respect and tolerance of other people has to be, and it is, a core and fundamental Jewish value. In fact, in many ways, the experiences of the Jewish people, especially, you know, in our humble beginnings as slaves in Egypt, have put us in a situation where that could be our most important value. In some ways, you know, I don't think there was any ancient text that talked about loving the stranger as much as the Torah did. Right now, if you just cast your mind back a few, you know, thousands years to the dynamics of life in the biblical world, it was a very difficult place to live if you were not part of the establishment, if you were not part of that hierarchy. And comes along this Torah, like you said, from a nomadic people, a slave people. And what it says is you have to love the stranger, right? You have to welcome the stranger. If you were a stranger in the biblical world, you were as good as dead, or you were on your own, for that matter. And what the Torah did is that it says that you have to love the stranger. And what's really interesting about that is that it actually, in another place in Leviticus, it gives us a reason for it. It says you have to love the stranger because you know the feelings of the stranger, because you were slaves in Egypt. And I think that that speaks volumes, because really what the Torah is doing here is it's telling us that, this is a core principle. If you look at the 613 commandments, the vast majority of them are between people. They're human interaction mitzvot. They come under the category which is known as ben adam lechavero, which is between one human and another human being. And the whole purpose of that is to show us that really the way that we interact with each other is meant to be a mirror for the way that we can react or relate to the divine. So if we're not doing well in our personal relationships, then we can also probably assume that there's some disconnection with our higher self. So there's actually Rabbi Akiva talked about, and Hillel the elder, they talked about how don't do to others what you wouldn't like done to yourself. That's what Hillel says. And he says that's the entirety of the Torah. The rest is commentary, right? And if you think about that, what he's saying is that the fundamental principle on which all of the Torah and all of Jewish values lies is this ability to have empathy for other people who are different to you. So I can't really comment on what other people or groups within our very eclectic Jewish people do or don't do. But one thing that's clear from my studies is that having an ability to see past the differences and focus on the similarities is a key Jewish idea.
And I think that's so important. And I actually think that it sums it up perfectly and actually really nicely leads on to, so all of our encounter series, our Aaron McCord's encounter series have talked about, yes, these are the core Jewish values, but have we really taught the rest of our community and the rest of the world that this is our core Jewish value? And are we on the way to striving to this end goal of peace? And I think you actually nicely summed it up almost already there, saying that we have come a long way. We've learned from it. Yes, different people have a different ideology of it, but we are on the road to sort of educating each other that, like I said before, peace isn't necessarily about no conflict. It's about educating and understanding everyone else's decisions and opinions and being okay with it almost. So do you agree with that? Do you think we're on our way to peace? Do you think that we've educated the world enough that this, as the Jewish people, is one of our core values?
So I would say that there's still a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of work to do. There's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of struggle, both within different nations, but also within the Jewish people. And that's one of the most painful things because, generally speaking, our reach is with the people who are local to us, right? Starting off with our family, our community, our country, and you can kind of go out in concentric circles. And there's a lot to be said about disunity and wars being waged within our own community. So I think that there is still a way to go, but I'm an optimist. I believe in people, and I believe that people are good. And that doesn't mean every single person or every single act is good, but I believe that we are able to hope that there will be a better time. And we're told in our teachings as well that there will be this time that comes on all of humanity where peace will reign, right? Where peace will be the outcome, and it will be a time of enlightenment for Jews and non-Jews alike. It will be a time of unity where all the different pieces of the puzzle are fitted together so nicely and so beautifully, and conflict will end. So I am a big believer in that, and the national anthem of the State of Israel is Hatikva, and which means hope. And I think that we can always hope for a better time in the future. And I think that we are slowly making inroads towards that on a global level as well. But as Rabbi Lord Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory used to say, the golden age of most people is in the past. the golden age of the Jewish people is in the future. And I think that that's really profound in terms of our direction of thinking, because we always look back to our stories to tell us about who we are. And we're coming up to Pesach soon, where we're going to retell the Jewish story again and again and inculcate in ourselves that sense of identity and belonging to the group that we have. But also we have to remember that we're a forward-looking people as well. We're looking to change things for the better in any different way that we can. And let's hope that that comes sooner rather than later.
Wow, I think there's so much we could talk about, and that notion of the golden age being in the future and there's still work to do, I think leads me to kind of maybe to ask a final question. I'm noting as well, there are more questions from the audience. One of them, there's a few more questions, but one of them particularly ties into something I'd like to kind of ask as a kind of closing question. And that someone picked up on something you said earlier about it being more about cooperation as opposed to kind of just actual peace. Surely actual peace needs to come with tolerance, with respect, and beyond kind of just cooperation of the other. So I wanted to kind of close by asking you, what's the Jewish attitude towards people who don't have the same outlook and worldview as we do, and even don't have the same religious values as we do? What's the Torah outlook? What's the Jewish outlook towards those people from your perspective?
So it's a good question, and I always like to think of it as one of my teachers used to say to me that everyone was created in the image of God. And that means that they have a soul, they have something godly to them. And he added something really profound. He said, they have something godly to them, whether you like them or not, whether you agree with them or not, whether they have the same belief system to you or a different one. And I think that that's always an important position to draw back to, because we can have debate, we can have discussion, we can even disagree, and there's real place for disagreement in Torah. Anyone who opens up a piece of the Talmud will see disagreements on every single page of thousands and thousands of pages. But the real question is not about the disagreement. I think today we're very scared to disagree with people. It's a bit passé. We don't like to give an opinion that's going to be different to what the status quo is. But I think that that's a shame, because what you get from disagreement is an evolution of the conversation. We believe in dialogue. Everything is about dialogue, right? It's not just about monologue and listening to a person speak and that's it. Learning and truth comes out from conversation. And that's what the Talmud teaches us, because the whole discussion on every page of the Talmud is this person says that and another person disagrees. And what happens is that you take these two positions and you start to refine what the truth is. So without that, you lose this kind of really important part. It's like sharpening a knife. You have to constantly put the stone to the metal in order to sharpen the tool. And I think that that's really what knowledge is about. I think that's what growth is about, and it's a struggle, and sometimes it's not always comfortable. But I think the other just important point is, what is the intention that we have when we set out to disagree with someone? If your intention is to destroy them, you just have to look on YouTube, on any video, this person destroys in capital letters, this person destroys that person. That's not what we're trying to do. If the intention is about achieving a state of knowledge and you're open to hearing something new, then that will only always broaden your horizons, not reduce it.
I think that is beautiful, and I think that a lot of students will definitely relate to that. At university, there's definitely a lot of discussions you want to have with someone, but sometimes you're scared. Like, my friends disagree with me, so I don't want to say anything. I don't want to lose them. They're my friends. But actually having this discussion in the right way, with the right judgment and the right conversation, is the right way forward. And I think that's the perfect message for you guys. So that is the strive for peace. That is the end goal. So thank you so much for joining us in the studio. We could talk about this forever, like Gideon said before. We have so many questions, but obviously we have to cut it at some point.
Have you back again?
We'll have to have you back for a third encounter series, absolutely. But thank you for joining us in the studio and continuing this discussion.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So thank you to Ari Kaiser. And like we say, we've received so many questions from the audience. So if you do want to hear more and actually address this directly with Ari, I'm sure we can put you in touch with him. He'll be happy to have that conversation. But Before we move on to our competition segment for tonight, we do have some sad news, I'm afraid.
We do, as some of you may have seen already or heard, we have unfortunately had to take the difficult decision to cancel our upcoming Dubai trip, which would have been the crown and the jewel in the crown of the Abraham Accords, going to the ground, meeting people directly involved in the Abraham Accords peace treaties. But unfortunately, due to the ongoing pandemic, travel restrictions just make it impossible. So we've had to make that decision. However, in more positive news, we do have an incredible opportunity coming up. If you are wondering how on earth and when on earth are you going to be able to get away this summer, the answer is yes. We are in direct contact with the Israeli government. We have very strong word that they are very optimistic about allowing groups in this summer. And therefore, we are continuing to take applications because we are fully optimistic and confident that we will be able to deliver on a fantastic 2-month Jerusalem experience with J internships this summer. The trip is really segmented into 2 parts. So you've got 2 weeks at the beginning of the trip where we're going to be touring, we're going to have weekends away, we're going to be visiting interesting people, interesting organizations, guest speakers, activities all around Jerusalem and all around Israel, actually, really experiencing the land for what it is. After that 2 weeks of absolute extravagance, unbelievable excitement, you're then going to start hard work for your internship from a field that you've chosen. There are hundreds of internships available. You get to choose what field you're interested in and secure for yourself a fantastic internship so that at the end of the summer, you will come home with a 6-week internship. However, don't take my word for it.
Absolutely. Who better to hear about this fantastic experience than from students themselves who've been on the trip in the past? So check this out.
So I did J internship with Aish a couple of summers ago, and I had such a good time. We were living right in the center of Jerusalem, and my placement was in Eileen Hospital, and I absolutely loved it. It was such an immersive experience. I learned so much about the culture. I picked up so much Hebrew. It was really, really a good experience. The best part, I mean, I know it's so cliche, was the friends. But more than that, like, we got so close as a group from England. But what was really cool is that we met J internship groups from around the world. So I remember we did Shabbatons with American groups, and we made friends with them, and we kept in touch throughout the whole program, and we saw them on our off weekends. Yeah, I just had such a good time. I would definitely recommend, like, a once in a lifetime opportunity, a really cool thing.
Hi, my name's Ariel, and I did the Aish Israel trip in 2019. It gave me the opportunity to gain valuable work experience while living in the heart of Jerusalem. Whilst on the trip, I made some amazing friends and some even more amazing memories. A personal highlight of the trip for me were the Shabbatons, which took place all over Israel. And whilst we were there, we got to meet other Jewish students from all over the world. To anybody that is considering doing this trip, I really couldn't recommend it more.
A fantastic, fantastic opportunity. You heard it there. And please reach out, ask any questions you have. But check out the site below, our Aish on Campus website as well, for more information about this incredible, incredible trip. Get those applications through because it's going to be absolutely epic. But now on to tonight's competition. Tonight's competition is very exciting, and we have the jackpot incredible prize of a board games night in package. The perfect lockdown treat. We've got Uno Flip, Codenames, Rummy Cup, Articulate, Truth Bombs, Twister, and Monopoly Deal. Literally your perfect night in during lockdown. Very, very exciting.
Absolutely, and to compete to win this fantastic pile of games in front of me over here, we are welcoming to the stage 2 fantastic teams representing the wonderful city of Birmingham, as well as the wonderful city of Manchester.
City of Manchester.
We are welcoming 2 fantastic teams. Can we get the teams on the stage now to say hello? Let's say hello to Team Birmingham and
Is that me?
also waiting to see Team Birmingham as well to see if we can get them on the stage. In the meantime, I'm going to describe, I think that's Team Birmingham over there. Give us a wave.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
You can hear us. Fantastic.
Okay, Birmingham team, we can hear you as well. So, Manchester team, can we hear you? Just checking that it's working.
Hopefully.
Fabulous. Okay, so the way that tonight's competition is going to go, it's going to be a competition called The Price is Right. You're going to be shown extremely random items, all purchasable from Amazon, and you literally, all you have to do is guess the price of the item. You're both going to be able to guess the price, and the team that guesses closest will win a point. And at the end of it, the team with the most points will be the winner of our incredible Board Games Night In package. So does that make sense for you all? Oh,
Yeah.
are we getting a wave? Are you okay?
Okay, now we're good.
Oh, fantastic. We're also having some sound difficulties on our end. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get our first completely random item up. Now, these are real items that you can, in fact, go onto Amazon and buy right now, but we are asking for your honesty over here. Do not Google this. Do not look it up on Amazon. We have here a fantastic Persian rug, okay? Now, we're going to jump to the Birmingham team first to hear from you guys to place a price in pounds and pence. How much you think this Persian rug is worth on Amazon today? Birmingham, can we get you on the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear you a bit quietly. You might have to speak into the mic. How much do you think it's worth? Pounds and pence.
120.
£120 exactly from Birmingham.
Okay, and Manchester team, what price would you like to put on this Persian rug?
We think it's, what is it? £250.
250, so a higher price for Manchester team. We can now reveal that the price is a whopping £732.88. Yes, a very expensive Persian rug. So neither of you were correct. However, the Manchester team will gain a point for that because you were closer. So we're going to go on to item number 2.
There you go, you got a little bell from Manchester. Okay, here we have some Osem soup croutons, a pack of 6. Pack of 6 Osem croutons.
We'll go to Manchester first
We'll go
this
to
time.
Manchester first to find out how much they think it's worth. I don't know why you'd go onto Amazon to buy your croutons, but Manchester, what do you reckon?
Okay, we are going for
Did you say it was a pack of 6?
Yes.
Yes, pack of 6.
just pick a price.
£7.
£7.
£7.
£7. Birmingham,
£7.50.
£7.50. So you've gone slightly higher. Well, we can tell you don't buy your croutons from Amazon because this is worth a whopping £24.99, which is massively expensive for some Osem croutons, although they are delicious. So, Birmingham, you're going to get the point for that for going for the slightly higher mark. So, well done.
It's neck and neck, it's one all. Now, we have 6 items. If it's still a draw after 6 items, we do have a tiebreaker, but let's go on to item number 3. Item number 3, completely random, is a smart TV with all of the latest gadgets, 32-inch HD LED smart TV. Starting with Birmingham this time, a smart TV, 32-inch smart TV. What do we think? How much?
No. 375.
That was quite exact. £375 from Birmingham, okay? And from Manchester.
I think it's a bit, yeah. Should we go? We're going to go for 400.
400.
So Manchester have gone for the higher price. Let's have a look what this fantastic smart TV that would suit perfectly in my bedroom would be. Let's have a look. £229.99, which means that Birmingham have got another point as the closest value there. So Birmingham, you have 2 points, and Manchester, you have 1. We're going to show our 4th item for tonight, and Manchester, you're going to give your starting price. So we've got 3 bottles of kosher red wine. It's a very yummy red wine, I have to say. So what price would you like to put on it, Manchester? Remember, kosher wine isn't cheap.
I love how some of the members of the Manchester team are like hiding their mouths so that they can't be seen what they're conferring.
We're going for a pro strategy. What is it? Why is
We're going to have to hurry you along here.
All right, we're going to go with 80.
Right. 80 pounds was that?
Yeah.
80 pounds for 3 bottles of kosher wine. Okay, 80 pounds. Birmingham.
85.
He's
Oh,
gone
you've gone higher. Okay, interesting. Let's have a look if it's 3 bottles of kosher wine is actually worth £80. It is not quite. It's a lot cheaper, this wine. It's not fancy wine, I'm afraid. But Manchester, you have got the point there as you were closer
Now
with.
it's neck and neck.
It is now neck and neck again. So we're going to go for item number 5. Are we ready? So Birmingham, we're going to go back to you to start.
What is this? A steam cleaner?
No, it's a Hoover.
A Hoover? What is it?
Yeah, it's a Hoover.
No, is it not? It's not. It looks like a steam cleaner.
It's a sharp,
All right, a
fancy
turquoise
Hoover.
blue. Is it a cordless one? Yeah, it's cordless sharp vacuum cleaner. There we go. Those are expensive, aren't they?
I think so. I think
I
we'll
don't wanna
find
give it
out.
away.
Birmingham, let's have a look. How expensive do you think that this Shark vacuum cleaner is?
250.
250. Okay.
Manchester, £250. You're going to raise
We're gonna go 80.
No.
Wait,
Yes,
what?
80. Oh, we've gone much
80.
lower there.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're going to see
Bold.
what this Shark. I feel like she was quite confident with that. Let's have a look.
I have no idea how much this costs. 280.
280. That's expensive for a vacuum cleaner.
Well, that means Birmingham are on 3. Wait, what?
Yes, it
Are they on
does.
3?
Birmingham are on 3 and Manchester on 2. So this is still pretty tight. We still are not sure who's going to win this.
If Birmingham get this one right, that means they win.
Yes.
All
So
right, it's all in it.
no pressure. Let's get item number 6 on the screen. Item number
Looks like
6
we're just stuck on the Birmingham team at the moment.
is, let's have a look.
Item
No.
number 6.
Ooh, beautiful. Some white gold diamond jewellery. Absolutely beautiful. Anyone like to purchase this for me as a present? That's also accepted.
See, this is one of those ones you just have no idea. It could be fake.
It's real. I will give you that hint. It is real diamonds.
Yeah, but
So-
there's real and then there's real. I genuinely have no idea how much it's cost.
Who are we going to first?
Whose turn is it first here? Is Birmingham first?
Yeah, Birmingham, we're going to go to you first. If you get this right, you have won the prize overall. If Manchester get this right, we're going to do a tiebreaker. So Birmingham, you went first last time, did you?
I'm pretty sure.
Did they?
Our mistake. Okay,
good
right.
save.
Manchester, let's go to you first. No pressure then. So we're going to bring Manchester to give their guess. Manchester,
We're gonna go 900.
£900. Okay.
Specific. Quite specific.
Right, okay.
899.
So you've gone slightly lower.
Anything less than £900.
I would, neither of you are going to get this as a present. I'm just going to tell you now, it is worth a little bit more than both of those prices. We can reveal that the price is £16,944. Yes, a very, very expensive chase.
Who is going to buy a 17 grand bracelet on Amazon?
It's beautiful.
Okay, well,
Well, we're now neck and neck. It is 3-3, which means that this last item, it is 3-3. So this last item is going to be a tiebreaker between the two teams. We're going to go to Birmingham to give their guess first. So let's have a look at item number 7. This is a book, and the book title actually tells you how much the book is worth. So that has been blurred out for you for that. So it's a book. How much would we like to pin on this
called
book?
The most expensive book. It's called Only for Rich. Who comes up with this stuff?
Birmingham, we're going to go to you first for a guess.
Interesting stuff. Okay, Birmingham, what do we think? How much is this book that costs? The title of the book is this book cost. Who? Sorry.
Birmingham, let's have a guess,
Birmingham,
please.
how much do you think this very rich book, or only for rich people book costs?
750.
750. That's an expensive book. That's a very expensive book. But let's have a look at Manchester. What is your guess?
It's probably like a £5 or something, isn't it?
We're going to go with 300.
£300. Let's reveal who the winner of tonight's competition is and the winner of this guess. So we can reveal that this book, the title of the book is This Book Costs $250, and therefore the price in pounds is slightly different to that. Have we got the price reveal? Where's the price reveal on here? Oh, we've not got the price reveal. Well, we can convert $250 into pounds, which is about £214, I can tell you now. So therefore, I am sorry, Birmingham, commiserations, but our winners are Manchester.
Congratulations, Team Manchester.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will be sending over to you this wonderful pile of games. Unfortunately for Birmingham, you will have to compete in another competition if you want to get an awesome bunch of prizes. So thank you for taking part, Birmingham.
It was very tight. It was very, very close. So well done to both of you for none of you getting any of the prizes right, but just getting closer than one another. But thank you for participating. And Manchester will be in touch to get you your prizes sent to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Both teams for participating.
Yes, a massive thank you. But Encounter obviously has more competitions. This is an epic show. We've got more to announce. And at the beginning of last week, we launched our mystery prize competition, which was very, very exciting. So on social media, this was launched and you had to guess the prize. And the first person to guess the prize was going to win it. We had 3 clues released over social media over the course of last week. And those 3 clues were as followed. We had 3 clues as followed. We had number 1, the name of 6 British kings. What is the name of 6 British kings?
King George.
Yes, George.
I like that one.
Number 2, a supervising worker. The answer is?
Foreman.
A foreman. And therefore, number 3, questioning harshly.
Grill.
The answer was a grill. Therefore, our mystery prize is a George Foreman grill, a fantastic prize. Now, we had quite a few people manage to guess this correctly, but one person got this correctly first. So, congratulations to
Elliot Burke. Elliot Burke, are you there on the call with us? Elliot, congratulations. You were the person who guessed the correct answer to these riddles almost instantly. Elliot, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
And I can actually reveal you were by about 9 minutes faster than everyone else guessing this. So this was pretty impressive.
You know your British English kings very well. We will be sending you a George Foreman. Have you got any plans? What are you going to cook on it first?
I've no idea. I've never actually had one before, so I'm going to have to look up what's good to make with a George Foreman, but I'll get back to you on that.
Well, we're very excited to gift it to you as a well done. So well done to everyone for taking part. And of course, we are now going to announce the winner of our beginning competition at the show, the puzzle which revealed roast chicken and roast potatoes. The first person to guess this correctly was Debbie Poznansky in Birmingham. So Debbie, we will be in touch to send you a £10 Amazon gift voucher. Congratulations. But well done to everyone. And don't forget, if you want to take part in future competitions, please be in touch, because next week's competition, the jackpot prize, listen to this, is a chocolate night in hamper with a fountain, with ingredients, marshmallows, strawberries, lots of chocolate bomb makers, literally the ideal night in with you and your friends, or just for yourself if that's the way you fancy. So make sure to be in touch to be part of this competition so that you can win.
I think, Danielle, I will be entering that competition. I'm a bit of a chocolate lover. But no, if you are interested in looking at other opportunities this week, Aish on Campus is absolutely jam-packed with activities. If you're in Nottingham tomorrow evening, we are hosting very first of a brand new, exciting series called Insight or Insight, where we'll be looking at some of the most controversial news stories that have come up over the past few weeks. If you're in Leeds on Thursday night, then you can take part with Rabbi Ozer in the same new series, Insight or Insight. If you're in Birmingham, you can join tomorrow night for The Journey with Rabbi Eliezer, and also stay tuned for a brand new, exciting initiative for Birmingham girls called Girls Aloud with Rebbe Tamira. And if you're in northern campuses, stay tuned for the very exciting finale show of Juniversity Challenge to find out who will be crowned as the Juniversity champions of the UK, as well as Deliver Jews on offer in Leeds and northern campuses. So stay tuned for all of those. And of course, what we mentioned earlier, next Thursday evening, where we are partnering with Finito, where you can find out about how you can secure yourself the opportunity to get your first leg up on the ladder to secure a dream job next year or in 2 years' time, depending on where you're up to in your degree. But that's going on all this week and next, Aish on Campus. And I will leave you with one last thought for you to think about this week. Next week on Encounter, same time, same place next week, we will be announcing something very exciting. So stay tuned for that.
Yes, very, very exciting. We're super excited. So watch out for this special episode with big, big announcements. But have a great week, everyone. Bye from us on Encounter.